Hi everyone, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I'm continuing my video series on craft room organization. The topic today is stamp storage. So I'm going to show you how I store wood stamps and my polymer stamps and what containers I use and why. And then we'll talk at the end about some guiding principles. So let's get started with some basic tools that I use and we'll move into the storage containers. All right, to start with, I'm going to talk about some of the tools that I use to keep my stamp collection in check. First is this Brother P-Touch label maker. And you could use any label maker, but I use this one to label both my stamp packages and my containers. And again, anything that you want to use would work. You can also use labels, like return labels too, and make them on your computer. Now, these are pockets that I use to store my stamp sets and even my dies if the container or the package that they came in can't be used for some reason. It's a good heavy quality weight of plastic, and I get these on Amazon. They're almost identical in size to the Avery L stamp storage pockets, but they are quite a bit less expensive. I'll put a link in the video description if you'd like to check these out, but I have been using these for several years and I really do like them. Here's an example of a package that I've been able to reuse. So I have labeled this one and I just store it that way. So you can see that my label here is AO-16. This means all occasion category and stamp set number 16. This was an address label and you can see it sort of peeling away, and that's why I switched to the Brother P-Touch system, because the adhesive on the back of this is stronger and it sticks better to the plastic that is used in these packages and in the pocket as well. So anyway, most of these packages open from the bottom or the top, and that allows me to get access. The packaging is usually pretty good, and so if I don't need to take the use of a pocket and just use what it came in, I will do that. Now maybe someday this will get worn out and I'll need to put it in a pocket, but for now it's working great, so that's what I will go ahead and use. Here's an example of where I've actually taken the packaging away and put it in one of my pockets, and you can see I've labeled it as well. But the main reason that I'm doing that is not because the packaging it came in necessarily was bad or anything, but I do have the die set that goes with it. So I want both of these pieces to be together, and the package just isn't big enough for both sets that it initially comes in. So rather than separate them, I put them together in the pocket and then store them together. Now for me, I've made a choice that if I have a matching die, I put it with the stamp and I file it in my stamp collection. Generally speaking, I only put dies that have no matching stamps into my die collection. And so I just be consistent about that, and I know if I do have matching dies, I'll find it with my stamps. So I store my stamps according to the size of the packaging they come in. So I have actually 4 different containers that I use, and this maximizes the space of each container. So this is the first one. It's a drawer system that's part of the Calyx system from IKEA. And it allows you to take a cube in the Calyx system and convert it to 2 drawers. This has worked really well for me, and I have several drawers like this full of stamps. But there is a limitation to it, and that is because it has a fairly shallow depth in this drawer, only stamp sets that are 5 inches or less when laid on its side can fit in here without, rubbing against the top of the next drawer when you're opening and shutting. And you can see there's many common brands that I've pulled out there that are of that dimension. And so I even put the smaller ones like this in there, and it works great. So for those of you who have wood stamps, I think I've found a really good solution for storage. This is an Iris project case. They once were called Recollections, but it seems like Iris has taken over this product. So it's marketed now as an Iris Slim Portable Project Case. Their approximate dimensions is 12 by 13 by 1.6 inches deep. And it is really quite perfect for wooden stamps, so that you can take this container once it's full, you can stand it up, lay it down, turn it over, upside down, anything you want. but the stamps stay in place and don't move around, and you can easily see through it to determine what is in the case when you are looking for a stamp you want to use. It also has 2 little tabs that you open and shut, and this keeps it pretty secure. Now this case has mostly loose stamps in it. This next case is Stamping Up, and it has all of the clamshell containers that Stampin' Up had included when these were purchased. So I didn't really want to throw these clamshell containers away, and I was able to fit them into this iris container, still maintain the original packaging, and also not have to throw that away. You'll see here I do have some stamps mixed in that weren't part of the original set, but I was not going to waste room. I pretty much packed in here everything that I could. Again, my philosophy is if you have a container, use as much of it as possible, and that way you're going to get the maximum storage space. And if you have the right system in place for managing your collection and knowing how to find your collection, it really doesn't matter if you mix them up. The beauty of these cases are you can stand them straight up and make them vertical. You can lay them flat and keep them that way. They just have so much flexibility, and again, as long as you have a shelf that will fit them, whether it's the Calyx system or some other shelving unit, I just really love these for the wooden stamp storage. Now here is the third kind of container that I use. This is for stamp sets that don't fit my drawer system. This is a Sterilite clear view latch. The dimensions of it are 17 inches long, 11 1/8 inches wide, 6 1/2 inches tall, and it's a 15 quart container. So this I find holds the majority of my stamp collection, and that's mainly because it will hold the wider stamps, but it also holds close to my heart stamps. The packaging in Close to My Heart is an odd square size. It's over 6 inches square, and I can get them in these containers. Now I'm going to open this up. These are obviously not Close to My Heart. These are just other stamps. Now what I do with these is I label them in numeric order. Every label says oversize and then a number, and then I put these in numeric order. This particular case will hold a lot of stamps stored in this way. And you can see the different kinds of packaging that I've had that has made me put it into a container like this rather than using my drawers. You'll see the outside is labeled oversized 1 through 78. So there's 78 stamp sets in this container. So I think that's pretty darn good. And it maximizes this container pretty well. So here I've got the Close to My Heart stamp sets that I own. I have 2 boxes like this, and you can see I can put them in 2 rows. Now this will work pretty well, but I will tell you that the packaging is a little taller than the box, so I find I can still use this box if I just leave a little room in it so that the packages can lean to the back just a little bit. And if I do that, I can get the cover on it and clip it shut, and it will store pretty decently. And I've not found any harm to my stamps by doing this. Now finally I'm going to show you the 4th storage container I use for my stamps. Now these are for stamps that just don't fit any of the other containers. They tend to be really, really large in shape. So they're too big for the Sterilites I showed you. They're too big for my drawer sets. So I had to find another alternative. Now fortunately there aren't very many stamps that fit into this size category, so I don't have many containers like this. In fact, I only have 2. This is the second one, and I still have room to grow in it, but it allows me to keep organized, and it works pretty well. Now this particular container is also an iris, and it's a small stacking basket is what it's called. It is 12 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches by 6 inches, and I get these at Joann Fabrics. They tend to have these in stock pretty much all the time, so as I've needed one, I just buy it. I have 3 of these total, but right now 1 is empty, and I'm really happy with how this works for my larger stamps. Well, I've now shown you how I store all of my stamps. The guiding principles that I mentioned before are this, in my opinion. 1. Maximize the storage space you have in the individual units you are using. I happen to have IKEA units. You may have something completely different, and you also may have a wide variety of storage units. So what you need to do is maximize the space on your shelves. Do that by finding containers that will fit the width and the length of your shelving units as closely as possible, and that way you're not losing space because your containers are too small. The second guiding principle I can offer you is don't try to find a box that will fit your entire collection. In other words, a one box fits all solution. Rather, I recommend looking at your collection and the different sizes that you have and find boxes that will fit the major category sizes the way that I have. And I hope that makes some sense to you. Once I realized that, I started saving a lot of room and I got more storage in the same space. Well, that's it for me today. I really appreciate the time you spend with me. If you haven't seen some of my other craft room organization videos, be sure to check out the links in my video description, and there'll be some links at the end of this video too that you can follow. Have a great week, and I'll be back soon with another video. Hey, thanks for being here. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so and click on the bell so you get notifications of all my new videos. There are also a few other videos listed here, including the playlist for my craft room organization series.